life by basically saying he's guilty of for hire. And the only thing that, like, yes, some of these things look suspect. Why'd you go there? Why are these people going there? Why'd you send this message? But nothing. There's no message that they got that says where Durk says, y'all that Quando yet? Nothing says that.
You missing the point. Okay. They got a witness already cooperating on that. Been had one. We just ain't seen what they said. It's 3 years. One of the cooperating.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
so
that's co-conspirator too.
Yeah, I don't know. You don't need too much more than that. One of the is cooperating. Then in the paperwork, you got the conversation. They say they had it in and out. The other 2 was figuring out how they getting paid.
Brace yourself, because what you're about to hear might just break the internet in half. Lil Durk, the voice of Chicago's pain, the man who turned trauma into platinum records, just uttered his final words before facing what fans are calling the most shocking sentence in hip-hop history. This isn't some clout-chasing headline. This is the kind of story that makes the Kardashians' drama look like a cooking tutorial. When the news hit, fans lost it. Twitter turned into a digital funeral. TikTok went full-on tragic symphony mode. And somewhere in the chaos, a mysterious recording started circulating. Durk's own words, spoken like a farewell to the streets, to fame, and maybe to life itself. You think rap beefs are wild? Nah. This is a full-blown emotional earthquake. Betrayal, loyalty, heartbreak, and justice colliding like a Netflix season finale no one saw coming. And the deeper you go, the darker it gets. Because the truth behind Lil Durk's so-called final message is way more twisted than anyone expected. Grab your popcorn, lock in, and get ready, because this one ain't for the faint of heart. It started like any other headline, another rumor in the rap jungle, until the whispers turned into sirens. Word spread faster than a 6x99 confession. Lil Durk, the man who survived the trenches, the labels, the losses, was allegedly facing a sentence that had even his enemies double-taking. Fans didn't know whether to cry, rage, or refresh TMZ every 5 seconds. And just when the world thought it couldn't get crazier, someone leaked Durk's final words, a chilling message that sounded like the end of an era. For years, Durk was untouchable, the street poet who turned pain into power. Every bar was soaked in survival. Every verse dripped with truth. But behind those platinum plaques was a man constantly haunted by the past. Legal battles, fallen friends, betrayals that could make Judas look loyal. Rumors swirled that his latest case had finally caught up with him, and insiders whispered that prosecutors had been waiting for this moment. Social media went ballistic. Memes, theories, fake court transcripts. It was a digital circus, and Durk was the reluctant ringmaster. Then came the leak, a voice message that allegedly featured Durk himself, raw and broken, speaking about destiny, loyalty, and regret. "If this how it ends," he said, "I just hope they know I never folded." Fans replayed it like scripture. It wasn't the usual "free my dog" moment. It felt personal, almost prophetic. The internet dissected every second like detectives. Who leaked it? When was it recorded? Was it even real? Nobody had answers, but everyone had opinions. The industry moved in slow motion. Collaborators went silent. Record executives deleted tweets faster than ghosts vanish. Even rappers who once, through subliminals, started posting cryptic messages. Broken hearts, praying hands, LLD. The energy shifted overnight, from hype to heartbreak. Because no matter how much chaos Durk stirred up, everyone knew he represented something bigger than music. A walking example that pain doesn't have to end in the graveyard. And yet, that's exactly where people feared this story was heading. The deeper fans dug, the wilder it got. Court insiders hinted that Durk's case wasn't just about street politics. It allegedly tied into a bigger web involving witnesses, sealed files, and old beefs finally resurfacing. The blogs went nuclear, dropping exclusive leaks every hour. Some claimed Durk took the fall for someone close to him. Others said he refused a deal that could have saved him but would have betrayed his code. Either way, the narrative painted him as a soldier facing the ultimate price, and fans couldn't decide if it was courage or tragedy. Meanwhile, Durk's team stayed radio silent. No statements, no live sessions, no interviews, just eerie quiet. And in the music world, silence speaks louder than any diss track. That's when the emotional storm truly began. Supporters from every corner of the globe flooded his old posts with messages like, "Stay strong, smirk," and "You changed lives, bro." It felt like the entire rap community was mourning in advance, even though the verdict wasn't official yet. But here's the kicker. Some insiders claimed Durk knew exactly what was coming. Word on the street was that he'd been recording his next album like it was his final goodbye, filling it with verses that sounded eerily like confessions. Lines about time running out, karma catching up, and my kids go and see me through bars left fans shook. Was he foreshadowing this? Or was it just another poetic coincidence from a man whose life always danced on the edge of real and unreal? The leak triggered emotional chaos. His close circle was reportedly furious, calling it an invasion and a setup. But the damage was done. Durk's words had already gone viral. News outlets twisted them into clickbait headlines. YouTubers milked every syllable for views, and fans turned the message into memorial edits with slow piano music and teardrop emojis. The story transcended rap. It became modern folklore. And then came the wildest twist. The alleged final words weren't found on his phone or social media. They were discovered through a private Telegram chat connected to an anonymous number, sent just hours before the news of his supposed sentencing hit the blogs. Nobody knew who leaked it, but everyone had theories. Some said it was a hacker. Others pointed at someone in his camp. The boldest fans swore it was Durk himself, leaving a digital trail before disappearing into whatever came next. As the media frenzy peaked, Durk's family reportedly stepped in. His mother was said to be broken but calm, his brothers on edge, and his label allegedly preparing for a worst-case scenario. The mood was grim. People who once called him reckless were suddenly calling him a legend. Everyone loves you more when you're gone, and that cruel truth played out in real time. Playlists featuring his old songs skyrocketed. Fans tattooed his lyrics overnight. And merch sales exploded like it was a farewell tour. But the streets told a different story. Those closest to him claimed the media twisted the narrative. They said Durk wasn't defeated, he was strategic. They hinted that the sentence wasn't literal, but a symbolic statement, an artistic way to say he was walking away from the chaos. Some even said he staged the leak to expose fake friends and see who would stand by him when the world turned its back. If that's true, this might not be a tragedy. It might be the boldest PR move in rap history. Still, the emotional weight was undeniable. Imagine growing up watching someone transform trauma into triumph, only to see them crumble under the same system they warned others about. That's why fans cried, argued, and prayed all at once. They weren't just mourning Lil Durk, they were mourning what he represented. Survival against impossible odds. Every rumor, every post, every leak carried the same undertone. Fear that one of hip-hop's last real voices was about to fade out for good. And as the hours passed, the confusion deepened. No official confirmation, no denial, just a haunting silence from Durk's usually active socials. That's when conspiracy theories went wild. Some claimed he was placed under protective custody. Others said he faked his own downfall to escape a target on his back. A few even suggested this was a label stunt to build hype for an unreleased documentary. But amidst all the noise, one thing stood out: those leaked words. They didn't sound like marketing. They sounded like goodbye. Whether it was intentional or not, the effect was undeniable. The hip-hop world collectively froze, waiting for the truth. It felt like watching a movie where you know the hero might not make it to the end, but you can't look away. And the irony? The man who built his legacy on raw truth was now the center of a mystery so deep, even his most loyal fans didn't know what to believe. The air around this story wasn't just sad, it was electric. Every update hit harder than a Drake diss, every rumor sliced deeper than a lyric from "Ah-ha," and it was hip-hop's version of a Shakespearean tragedy. Only this one came with auto-tune, Instagram lives, and hashtags. And as people scrolled endlessly, one haunting thought echoed through the culture. If this really is Lil Durk's final chapter, what happens to the story he spent his whole life trying to tell? The internet exploded like a powder keg. Within hours, Lil Durk's final words became the most viral moment in hip-hop since Tupac's hologram blinked at Coachella. Every platform, from Shade Room to Spotify, turned into an emotional battlefield. On one side were the fans, heartbroken, confused, desperate for truth. On the other were the skeptics, calling it a publicity stunt. Meanwhile, Durk's fanbase went full detective mode. They started connecting lyrics from his older songs, piecing together what they called the prophecy of Durkio. Reddit threads turned into cult meetings. One user posted, "He'd been telling us for years, go back to the voice, it's all there." Others noticed subtle hints. The black outfits in his last few videos, the recurring angel wings visuals, the captions that read like last words. It was either genius foreshadowing or a terrifying coincidence, and no one could decide which was worse. Then came the leaked footage. Grainy, low quality, but explosive. A clip surfaced showing Durk walking into what looked like a courthouse with his head down and hoodie up. The uploader claimed it was moments before sentencing, and the internet went feral. Millions of views in minutes, but then another video popped up. Same outfit, different location, allegedly shot on the set of a music video. That contradiction sent everyone spiraling. Was the first clip real or staged? Was Durk trolling the entire culture with one massive illusion? And just when fans thought they'd seen it all, something even stranger happened. A screenshot emerged, supposedly a message from Durk's close friend, claiming Durk's final words were actually part of a letter written weeks earlier, meant for his children in case something ever happened. That detail flipped the internet upside down. The story stopped being just about a rapper. It became about a father, a legacy, and a man trapped between fame and fate. Suddenly, the memes stopped being funny. The comments got softer. Even the trolls went quiet. Every big outlet ran their own inside source version. TMZ said Durk's lawyers were preparing an appeal. Academics went live for 4 straight hours, yelling, "I told you all the streets ain't loyal." Complex ran with a headline that read, "Durkio's last words send fans spiraling." Even old rivals started sending condolences. NBA YoungBoy's fanbase, usually the most savage corner of the internet, dropped truce posts like, "Respect to Durk, real recognize real." When YB's fans show sympathy, you know the situation's heavy. Behind the scenes, whispers about betrayal grew louder. Reports surfaced that someone from Durk's circle might have sold information to the feds. One anonymous account claimed the entire case hinged on an old friend flipping. That narrative caught fire. Everyone wanted to know who snitched. Names were thrown around recklessly, screenshots faked, DMs forged. The paranoia spread faster than the facts, and in true internet fashion, nobody cared about the truth. They just wanted the next shockwave. What made it all even more haunting was how eerily quiet Durk's official channels remained. No statement from his management, no confirmation from the label, just silence. The kind that screams louder than words. And that's when another theory caught traction. What if Durk himself orchestrated the leak as part of a grand plan to expose everyone who'd ever doubted him? What if this was his way of testing loyalty? To see who'd mourn him, who'd exploit him, and who'd move on without hesitation. It sounded insane, but so did everything else that week. Meanwhile, fans turned grief into movement. Hashtags like Nosh Free Durk, Nosh Pray for Smirk, and Nosh Durk Forever dominated timelines. People lit candles outside O-Block murals. DJs across Chicago played All Love on loop. A viral TikTok trend emerged where fans mouthed his final words over cinematic edits. Tears, flashbacks, slow-motion smiles. It was both beautiful and eerie. A digital vigil for a man whose fate was still unclear. Then, a jaw-dropping plot twist. An unreleased track mysteriously appeared on SoundCloud under the name Eternal Voice. The vocals, unmistakably Durk's, the lyrics, heart-stopping. They gon' post me when I'm gone, but ignore me when I'm hurtin'. The song felt like a ghost had just picked up a microphone. Within hours, fans declared it his final confession, but insiders later hinted it was recorded months ago for an unreleased project. Still, the timing was too perfect, too emotional, too cinematic to be coincidence. The emotional meltdown spread far beyond music. Influencers, athletes, and even pastors joined the conversation. A Chicago preacher went viral for saying, "Durk was preaching pain in his own language. Y'all just never called it gospel." TikTok preachers remixed his lyrics with Bible verses. Gym bros posted, "Work harder. Durk wouldn't quit." The man became an instant legend, halfway between martyr and myth. But behind the viral storm, something darker brewed. Certain insiders began hinting that Durk's sentence wasn't a criminal conviction at all. It was industry exile. They claimed he'd fallen out with powerful figures, refused to play the game, and was now being silenced in plain sight. "When you stop being profitable," one insider wrote, "they erase you." It was the kind of theory that sent fans into conspiracy overdrive. Suddenly, it wasn't about guilt or innocence. It was about power, about who controls the narrative when a voice gets too loud. And that's when the unthinkable happened. Durk's verified accounts all changed their bios to a single word. Forever. No posts, no captions, just that word, glowing like a digital tombstone. Screenshots flooded social media. People cried, cursed, panicked. One fan wrote, "This ain't marketing, this feels like goodbye." Another said, "If this is real, we lost a king." For a moment, it felt like the entire internet stopped breathing. Music executives started scrambling. Reports leaked that labels were rushing to secure unreleased material. One insider even claimed there were 3 completed albums waiting in Durk's vault, and that negotiations over posthumous rights had already begun. The music industry smelled money. Fans smelled betrayal. Nobody wanted to believe their favorite artist was being commodified before the dust even settled. Every day brought a new twist. Alleged friends came out of nowhere doing interviews, claiming they saw it coming. Some rappers dropped tribute tracks overnight. Others used the moment to throw shade disguised as condolences. The hypocrisy was unbearable. People who once laughed at Durk's pain now acted like they'd been his biggest supporters. It was peak clout culture. Fake love wrapped in designer grief. But amid the chaos, one thing remained constant. Those haunting words. "I just hope they know I never folded." Fans replayed them endlessly, dissecting the emotion in his tone, the weight behind each syllable. It didn't sound like defeat, it sounded like peace, like a man finally done fighting. And that's what scared everyone the most. By now, the narrative had split into 2 worlds. In one, Durk was the fallen hero, the voice silenced by the system. In the other, he was the mastermind, the architect of his own mythology, watching the world react from the shadows. Whichever version you believed, the impact was undeniable. The culture had shifted. The conversation around authenticity, loyalty, and legacy would never be the same again. The fans didn't just mourn Lil Durk, they felt him. His story became a mirror for every person trying to survive in a world that rewards chaos, but punishes truth. Whether this was the end or a calculated rebirth, one fact was crystal clear. Nobody told stories like Durkio. And if this really was his final act, it might just be the greatest plot twist hip-hop has ever seen. The storm didn't fade. It evolved. What began as shock turned into obsession. Every fan, journalist, and rival started searching for hidden meanings in Lil Durk's last moves. His silence had become its own kind of noise, a ghostly echo that refused to die down. People weren't just talking about his so-called death sentence anymore. They were dissecting his entire legacy like scholars at a hip-hop university. Every lyric, every feature, every feud suddenly felt like a clue to a grander message he left behind. Even the mainstream media couldn't resist. News anchors who couldn't name one Durk song last month were suddenly calling him a generational voice of pain. Rolling Stone pushed out a think piece titled "The Gospel of Durkio." CNN ran a segment asking whether the justice system was targeting cultural icons. Overnight, the rapper once vilified as controversial became a symbol of tragedy and misunderstood genius. And as ironic as it sounds, it took rumors of his downfall for the world to finally admit how powerful his voice really was. The streets in Chicago felt heavier. Murals of Durk appeared on brick walls overnight, painted by kids who grew up on his music. Cars rolled past blasting The Voice at full volume. Not in celebration, but in mourning. Every block, every barbershop, every corner store was buzzing with the same conversation. Was Durk gone? Or was this the rebirth of something bigger? Some said he was in witness protection. Others swore they'd seen him in Atlanta, hiding in plain sight. In a world addicted to clout and conspiracy, reality didn't stand a chance. Meanwhile, artists who once competed with him were now struggling to fill the silence he left. The new wave of rappers sounded louder but emptier, like echoes of a voice that once told the truth without filters. Even Drake, the man who could turn a grocery list into a hit, posted a black screen story with the caption, "Legends don't die, they just change frequencies." That one sentence set off another social media earthquake. Was Drake hinting that Durk was alive, or was it just poetic grief? The theories multiplied faster than views in a Durk feature. Then came the record label statement. Brief, cold, corporate. We are aware of the misinformation circulating online. Lil Durk's legal matters are ongoing. Further updates will be provided in due course. Translation. We're not saying a word until we figure out how to monetize this. Fans weren't fooled. They dragged the label for treating a man's fate like a marketing rollout. Hashtags like Respect Durk and Yak Stop Playing with Pain trended for days. Everyone was angry, emotional, and addicted to the drama at once. Exactly how the internet likes it. But here's where the story turned from tragedy to legend. Out of nowhere, a short clip surfaced on Instagram, blurry but unmistakable. Durk's voice speaking calmly. "Y'all can't cancel real." That's it. No date, no caption, just those 4 words. It broke every algorithm. Millions of views, billions of speculations. Was it new? Old? Deepfake? Nobody knew. But the emotional hit was nuclear. It was like he reached out from whatever darkness surrounded him to remind the world. He was still in control. Even the government conspiracies couldn't stop the movement. Fans started calling him the Phantom of the Trenches. Memes blended with prayers. You'd scroll your feed and see an edit of Durk's face next to Malcolm X or Tupac, captioned, "Different generation, same struggle." Teachers used his lyrics in classrooms to discuss resilience. Podcasters debated whether this was art imitating life, or life caught inside art. Somehow, a story born from heartbreak had turned into a social revolution. Behind the scenes, insiders whispered about the cost of the chaos. Friends said Durk's family was fractured, torn between privacy and the public's obsession. His kids were trending topics, his loved ones stalked by fans demanding proof of life. Fame had always been a double-edged sword, but now it felt like a guillotine. The same public that claimed to love him refused to let him rest. And yet, that's exactly what made Durk's legacy unstoppable. He had become the symbol of every artist chewed up by fame, but too real to vanish quietly. Every lyric about loyalty, betrayal, and pain now carried prophetic weight. His words weren't just songs anymore. They were survival codes for a generation that learned to smile through trauma. When his streaming numbers hit record highs, people realized something uncomfortable. Death, or even the illusion of it, sells. Executives started smiling again, counting streams like condolences. Tribute albums were announced. Documentaries were in production. The same system that may have crushed him now worshipped his name for profit. It was poetic, disgusting, and inevitable. Meanwhile, the real fans, the ones who grew with him from Signed to the Streets to Almost Healed, saw through the circus. They knew Durk never chased fame. He chased redemption. His final words weren't surrender. They were a manifesto. A reminder that no matter how far you climb, the world still loves to see you fall. But true loyalty doesn't die. It waits in silence, just like he did. The emotional weight of it all hit the culture like a tidal wave. Rap wasn't fun anymore. Every lyric felt heavier, every beat sounded haunted. People started questioning their idols, their obsessions, their role in the chaos. Because Durk's story wasn't just his. It was a mirror reflecting what fame does to anyone who lives too loudly. It strips you bare until your pain becomes public entertainment. Weeks later, a new track leaked. One final verse that sounded unmistakably like Durk. The production was raw, the tone defiant. "They can't lock my soul up, I'm already